Hello and welcome to this month's SketchDeck webinar about how to your productivity through finding the right design solutions for your marketing and general design needs. Firstly, some introductions. My name is Will Crispin. I'm heading the sales team at SketchDeck. I've joined the company right in the beginning 3.5 years ago and worked in various positions and had the privilege of actually working with most of the clients that we work with today. On the other side, a big welcome to everybody here in the audience. We have some great folks here. Some examples, Merck, Video Blocks, ADP, Maven Links, Stance, and many, many more. Thank you so much for making time right after the long weekend and for listening to what we have to say. Before we get started, why should you listen to us? Well, firstly, we are not new to the design business. Since we started 4 years ago, we've actually worked on over 11,000 projects and across 280 accounts. And those companies are a wide range. We really support anything from a startup where we work with 5 or 6 people on the marketing team to large enterprises where we support essentially whole business units. And that puts us in a really unique position because we've got to see a lot of the opportunities, the issues, and the challenges that are happening right now in design, in the enterprises, in businesses, and some of which I want to share with you today. So what are we actually going to talk about? Firstly, I want to tell you a little bit more about why we actually exist. And the second part, I want to highlight some of the that we've identified that are happening right now, especially around productivity when it comes to design. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit more about the solution. So let's dive right in. Why are we here? Well, design hasn't always mattered. 10 years ago, we would have probably talked about how to get design into businesses in the first place, rather than scaling them across or improving productivity. But today, design is key to a business success. Why is that? Over the last couple years, there has been a big shift in people who are working in businesses, especially with the rise of millennials into the workforce. Our standards and expectation of what good design is has changed. And that's been a big struggle for enterprises to keep up with. And we know that this is not just a preference. It actually translates into business success, and it increases performance. The best data around that, or one of my favorite data around that, is the Design Value Index. The Design Value Index tracked 16 publicly traded companies over 10 years and compared the performance of those companies to the S&P 500. To be in the Design Value Index, you needed to meet a set of 6 criteria that made you design-centric. And after 10 years, and you can see the results here, it turned out that these companies outperformed the S&P 500 by 211%. So quite significant. Now, what is the struggle? We know it's important, but why do companies struggle to scale this up? Well, to be design-centric, you have to, and this is one of the biggest criteria for the Design Value Index, you have to enable design to operate at scale across the whole business. Now, we think about that in 3 different areas. When you have to scale design across the organization, you have to enable the individual, firstly, to get access to design and get the design they need. Secondly, you have to empower all your teams to be as productive and efficient as they can be. And lastly, on the organizational level, you have to assure that all the guidelines, all the support is there to make all the other areas happen. Now, today I want to focus on the individual and see how they're affected by the struggles and the current setup of the design landscape and how we can solve this. Firstly, what do you care about as an individual needing design in organization today? Two of the main issues that design solutions cannot help with are, firstly, speed. You probably all know that, but a lot of requests that you have to complete come fast, often without any warning, and most of the design solutions out there, think agencies, think your in-house design team, they're not set up to get your results quickly. They're optimized for quality, they're optimized for creativity, but not for speed. Secondly, the ease of use. A design agency doesn't come with a nice platform or manual. Placing a design project or starting a design brief requires deep domain knowledge. It requires you to go on calls, requires meetings, endless emails. And those processes are just really disruptive to your day-to-day work. On the team and department side, there is a general access issue. Many people need design. I mentioned that earlier, and it's growing. The problem is that most design solutions are gated behind specific stakeholders. Not everybody knows who these people are. Not everybody knows that they need design. And even if they do know it, they don't know where to go or how to get it. Secondly, there's a quality and consistency issue. Working with a mix of various, often disconnected solutions means that people have to do their own design, start their own brand guides and instructions, and that leads to even more inconsistency. And often these bad outcomes effectively dilute your brand. You also have a capacity issue. Most design solutions, including in-house designers, are not built around very variable demand that changes over the year. If you hire in-house teams, they're most likely in some periods of the year underworked, and in others you wish you had double the design. Lastly, efficiency and cost. Traditional design solutions, especially agencies, they don't optimize around cost. They want to do creative, big, impactful projects where cost is not the main factor, and therefore your day-to-day design does not fit in what they want to do. On the organization level, there are some issues. I don't want to get too much into this, but just to be aware of, one of the big pieces here is keeping your brand ahead. We all got used to very quick design cycles. We're expecting a new iPhone design every other year. And this expectation is now transferred over to businesses. And if you've ever worked on a rebrand, you know what a hassle it is and how hard it is to get a rebrand rolled out. Not even talking about a 2-year rollout, we're talking about 5 to 10 years, what businesses typically do. Scaling and controlling your brand. Most people understand that your brand is not limited to a few deliverables. It's literally every customer-facing document, every sales presentation, every flyer, and it goes even to word of mouth. The more solutions and the more people are involved, the harder it is to consistently grow your design and your brand. The last piece here is utilizing all the channels that are available. Specifically, social media marketing is an area that is largely underserved. We know that with segmentation and very specific targeting, we could make hyper-customized materials, but unfortunately, none of the design solutions out there can today produce those designs ROI positive. Now, how does that actually affect these issues, your design coverage today? To understand that, I want to walk you through how we think about design projects today and what areas we're looking at. And for that, I have a little chart here. You can see here the design, which we see as the design input needed, as well as the visibility. And visibility here is outward-facing visibility of the actual deliverables. Now, we think there's roughly 3 categories of deliverables that a typical organization produces. On the very right side, we have the flagship projects, the ones that you all know and think about when you think about design. Your homepage, big TV ads, flagship events like conferences, and then you have a product. On the other end, you have budget design on the very left side. Budget design, we think of deliverables that you essentially only present in a one-on-one internal setting. That might be an update to a manager or maybe even to a small team. This is an area where we believe design actually doesn't have to happen. But in the middle, you have a huge area of day-to-day design, which includes everything from sales collateral over social media ads, email design, marketing collateral, sub-website pages, landing pages, big internal meetings, all of that. Now, this is how we think, how much design we think you have to put in each of those areas. Now, this is obviously very simplified. We know that design is multifaceted, but this is a very simplified line of the design input needed. Now, this is what the reality of design looks like today. Flagship design is essentially overserved in some areas, leading to actually really good coverage. There's tons of agencies, boutique agencies, marketing agencies, big design agencies, and they make sure these flagship projects, or at least most of them, are well covered. On the other side, I mentioned that already, budget design has low ROI. There's, in most cases, not in all, no significant improvement by giving or enabling people who need this budget one-on-one presentation design any kind of access. Now, one of the biggest problems is here, and that is the suboptimal solutions. I've mentioned that today, most design solutions are not optimized at cost or speed, which leads that a lot of the projects are either too expensive or they're just not covered at all, leading to this dip here in design coverage with the day-to-day and also some of the flagship design that just either can't get done or money, time, and resources are being wasted on those projects because you have to use what you can use. And this wide area over here, well, that currently is what we call the design gap. This is where essentially no professional design is happening. It would be needed, but there's no solution who can even think about taking them on, leading to either no design or lots of wasted productivity because you have to do it yourself, spending hours at night putting a PowerPoint presentation together. Now, why is that? What are the solutions out there and why are they suboptimal? Well, here is a list of the ones that we think are like the biggest quote unquote players. Firstly, we have marketplaces. And we think marketplaces are great for budget design if you really need it. But for day-to-day design, they lead to problems in quality and consistency. Because marketplaces need you to go in through the platform, vet designers, train designers, onboard designers, and then fire designers when they're not good. You essentially have to build a portfolio of people, hope that they come back, hope that they're available, which takes a lot of time on your end and often doesn't get you the results that you need. Now, why not go to an individual freelancers? You might know some people as well. You might use people on a regular basis. While an individual freelancers are great to a point, but they can't scale. An individual freelancer by default is limited to him or her capabilities, availability, as well as capacity, which leads to you having to build a portfolio of freelancers and manage their capacity and determine which one is the best for a certain project and hope that they're available. Meaning that you become a project manager as well as a design team manager. And a lot of people don't even know how to manage a design team. Now, boutique agencies on the other side can help with a lot of different project types, different needs, often can even work relatively fast because of their size, they can still be flexible. The problem here is cost and scalability. Cost, I mentioned that earlier. Agencies are generally optimized for creativity and for quality. If you go to a boutique agency to work with you on day-to-day projects, you will most likely pay more than you need to, because that is how the pricing in a boutique agency works. Scalability is a factor. Once you become too big, then you have to start hiring multiple boutique agencies, getting you essentially to the same point. You have to build a team managing your outside resources. Big agency, cost and speed are the big problems here. Big agencies are great for, I mentioned that earlier as well, creative, huge, impactful projects. Speed is not something an agency thinks about. They want slow, creative, multi-iterative projects. When we look at the in-house solutions, firstly, we should look at the report designers. Direct report designers could be hired for any kind of team, for any kind of need. Now, the problem with direct report designers is scalability, because you need to invest a lot of time in training, onboarding. You have to find the designer, and you have to make sure you retain the designer. And it is incredibly hard to retain designers to do work that a lot of designers don't necessarily want to do, especially if that is the same deliverable for the same team over and over and over. Therefore, hard to scale. In-house agencies run into the same issues like outsourced agencies. In-house agencies focus on the core deliverables, on the really important projects, and often are not very flexible. You have your agency often in one place, limiting you to one time zone and not enabling you to actually give coverage to every team out there. Now, this is the situation today, and this is what it leads to. Essentially, most businesses on deliverables. If they don't spend the money on those deliverables, they typically waste time and resources. And those suboptimal solutions, in the end, don't even cover everything, leaving you with a lot of unsupported work. Now, luckily for you, we do have a solution. And we solve this problem by protecting your brand, elevating it, and providing you with like a high quality design solution that can scale and meet all your day-to-day needs. And we achieve that with 4 pillars in our solution. The first one is a product, and I'll show you all of these pillars in a second in a bit more detail. It's a convenient and engaging platform that helps you to place, manage, and iterate on projects. Second, we have built a team that can produce a process, that can produce high quality design at scale. It's consistent, it's predictable, and it's really easy to understand. Then you will work with a talented and passionate design community that is matched to your needs and organized in design teams that are built around your brand and exactly the deliverables that you need. Lastly, we ensure long-term account and brand success with our account team, making sure that your brand consistently develops and that templates and deliverables are always the best they could be. Now, what does that actually look like? Well, firstly, I mentioned we have a platform. And the platform gives everybody who needs it access to the deliverables that you need to produce on a day-to-day basis. Presentations, documents like white papers, like case studies, like handouts. We do emails, web ads, all of that in one platform, really easy to access. The platform is actually really easy to use as well. Even if you've never instructed a designer before, we walk you through a brief. We ask you all the right questions to make sure that we are successful, as well as you getting the right deliverable and results that you're expecting. And you can start a project without a phone call, without an email, without a meeting, 24/7. And that's not it. You can actually also manage the project. We've built the platform so you get a preview of what we've designed, and you can use that interface to interact with the design team, ask for changes, ask for additional content, and you can even collaborate internally with colleagues, consult your design team, loop in the people that need to be looped in. And the last piece here is you can manage all your assets in one place. No hoping that everybody remembered to put the new file in Dropbox anymore. No wrong template anymore. No issues finding an old asset. You have everything in one place. You have always the most updated version. You can share them. You can build new deliverables on old one. You can build consistent campaigns by just following one design language. Everything in one place. On the team level, we do enable reach. So we make sure that everybody who needs design can get design through our platform. You can simply give everybody a login and everybody has access. You still have visibility and you have control over what's going on, but you, in case you are the design stakeholder today, you don't become a bottleneck. And then I mentioned that we have a team built around your needs. And the team is not just designers. We have talented designers. We have great production designers. We have a strong management team, a project management team that helps you to organize your pipeline, that helps you to place and think about large campaigns. We have quality control, assuring that even the smallest details are not missed. And we have creative directors who make sure that your brand is consistently pushed forwards and deliverables are getting better and better rather than staying stale. And we also enable you to not worry about capacity like you would have to with other designers or design solutions. We always have multiple people or teams trade on your brand and available to work. And if your demand goes up, we can scale the design support. If your demand goes down, your team can shrink, but be ready for the next spike. And lastly, you can get projects in as little as 24 hours. Firstly, we have fast design because of our software-supported project management, but the design team, which is consistently assigned to you, will also get to know your brand, get to know your preferences, and the things that you're doing, and therefore get faster and faster. 24 hours results, not a problem with us. Now, to summarize, we know that design affects your company performance. We know design is hard to scale, and you accomplish less because of the wrong solution. But we can help you to get better design. Now, I don't want to get too much, but we are a service that provides a membership solution. And with that membership, you can get access to the platform, you can get access to the team, and we can help you to get design done in a better way and stop wasting any kind of productivity on the solutions that you do today. If you have any questions around that, I would love to answer them. We have still a few minutes time, and if you have anything, please feel free to put it in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer. Okay, let me take a look. So first question here, do you get to pick the designer you're working with? Really good question. Typically, you don't get to choose the exact designer. We assign a team from the get-go that matches the need that we've identified in conversations with you, and build a team around the deliverables that you do need and the kind of design that you're doing, as well as the style that you work with. After that, we make sure that we have consistent reviews with the whole team and the creative director. And we typically switch out designers automatically as we see fit. Okay, looks like we have another question. Oh, how does SketchDeck support globally? For example, Asia, Australia, and EMEA. Really good questions as well. We have a design team that is actually global already. The core of our designers is in the US, Canada, and South America, like most of our clients. But we do have teams in Europe and Asia. And we already support, you might have seen in the company overview, we work with Yokogawa in Japan. We work with various large teams in Korea, in also Japan and Taiwan. And we have multiple clients in Europe, especially London, the Netherlands, and Germany. So, and these teams are scalable, and we can build essentially specific teams for your needs around there as well. Okay, let's see if there's another question. How do you make sure that that there's capacity within the design teams? That's also a really good question. I mentioned that we have a project management team on each of our design teams, and they make sure that we always are aware of the pipeline that you're working on and the kind of projects you would like to get done. And in those conversations, we identify if we have enough capacity within the team. Even if you have something without warning that comes to us, I mentioned that there are always designers who are trained on your brand already, who can jump in, that can cover these unexpected surges. If there's something bigger, our project management team will have identified that with you and then planned accordingly with the team to cover those needs. Okay, it looks like we don't have any other questions. If anything comes up later today, or you have any general questions around SketchDeck, the membership, or any kind of input around this webinar, I would love to hear it. Please feel free to shoot me an email, and we will also reach out with a follow-up. And I would like to thank everyone for joining this webinar. And we'll take the next 10 minutes for everybody who's interested to walk you through a quick demo for you to actually see the platform. So feel free to stay on here. And if you can't stay on, thank you so much for joining. And we look forward to getting any kind of feedback, questions, and talking with you individually. So let's say, so I've shown you all screenshots before, but I want to actually show you that in detail, how a project works and how you would place a project and how quickly it really is. So every project in SketchDeck starts here with our project shelf. And here's my mouse cursor. Sorry about that. And you can see here an extended view of all the products that we can work on. That ranges from presentations, I mentioned that earlier, documents, one-pagers, web ads, emails, pretty much everything that a typical marketing team needs on a day-to-day basis. We also have the availability for custom projects. You can get a quote for something specific or very big. And then we also have Design by the Hour, which is intended for really small projects. So let's take a look at a presentation product as kind of a standard deliverable that probably all of you have to work on. So this is what the actual brief overview looks like. You give your project a title, you tell us how big your project is, and then you jump right into the level of creativity needed. We typically have 3 use cases that apply in most cases, which is production or cleanup. Think about making a sketch and us putting it into your existing template. That would be great production. Or you having an old PowerPoint file or something you put together and you just need us to reformat it and make sure that everything is on brand. Then the most common need here is the mix of production and creative design, which would be projects that are largely production but have some aspects to them that need some more creative input. And then lastly, we have a very creative option. And those options are pretty much the same across all projects. There's various other questions that are product specific. There might be a question around the content being final. We always enable you to use templates if you have them. That actually cuts down on time and money needed for this project. And lastly, we have various speeds you can see here. This is an Express project that needs pure production, following a template. And here's some idea around speed. It's the 5th today. If I place this project right now, I would get the first round on the 7th. If I do this as Express, I'll actually get it back tomorrow. Now, once I'm happy with all of this, I send the project in. And what I get back will look something like this. You'll get an email telling you that there's an iteration ready. And here's actually an old webinar file that I've designed a few weeks ago. I didn't design it, the team did. And you can see here, full design needs your feedback. And this is loading up right now. You can see a quick message from the design team for me. And then I can see the design itself. I can scroll up and down here. I can make these pins that are actually the instructions for the design team. For example, change this number. I can even give a little bit of a mood, like this needs a change. I can say that I like something or don't like something, for example, here. And I can even ask a colleague to give feedback as well and have a discussion on these pins. Once I'm done giving feedback, I send this back to the team, and the team gets done the change. No call, no email, no nothing needed. 24 hours later, I'll get my revision and can get going. Once the file is done, I can download it here. And if I have any kind of questions, you can always chat the team. Everybody who is part of this project will be notified if I put a chat in here. The last piece, I mentioned that also. All the projects are in one place. You can look at the team's projects. If they shared them with me, I can see what's going on and always have the most recent deliverable that I need. That is the general overview of the platform. There's definitely some more pieces to this. If you're interested in seeing more or talking a bit more about how we can help you specifically, reach out to us. You can email sales@sketchdeck.com or email me directly, and we will set up some time and see how we can help. Thanks a lot for your time, and we hope to hear from you.